Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to With All Due Respect. I am Marcus Flowers, and that's our good friend, Madeline Summerville. Maddie,
Hey,
how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm on vacation this week. We're actually in Belize, my husband and I. And so I'm coming to you live from our place where we're staying.
Live from vacation. Maddie's so much more dedicated than I am, guys. When I'm on vacation, you're probably not going to see me. So that's why
You
we had a
also,
couple
you
of weeks
also have
off.
two daughters. Okay. All I have is beagles and a cat, and they're home. Okay.
This
So
this is true. And my kids, when we're on vacation, they kind of want my full attention. So
understood,
it's one of those things.
of course.
So let's hop into it. Everybody, this is the show where we cut through the nonsense, call it out, and actually talk about what's happening right now. Not the version you get from people who think that yelling is a substitute for leadership. Every week we bring you real stories with real people, real conversations with people who are in the fight, candidates, organizers, experts, folks who aren't just talking about making a change, they're actually out there making it happen. Because let's be honest, news cycle right now, it is a lot. War, politics, culture, it's all colliding, and somebody's got to make sense of it. So,
Mhm.
whether you're here to stay informed, get fired up, or just hear somebody say what you've been thinking all week long, you're in the right place. And let's get into it. Maddie, I want to start today with this is a story that's not getting a lot of news right now. At the very
Mhm.
top, we're going to talk
Mhm.
about the Equal Opportunity Commission and how they are scrapping a 60-year-old diversity reporting rule. It's basically, companies with over, let's see, companies with over 100 employees submit
Yeah.
annual workplace demographic reports, a data collection process that has been in place since 1966,
Mm.
through 10 administrations on both sides of the aisle. Um, we're getting rid of it,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting thing to note here is this was recommended in Project 2025, the Conservative Heritage Foundation's blueprint that's guided the Trump administration through this. So let's kind of talk about this and why they would make this move. And
Yeah.
first of all, we kind of need to dive into what the data that the companies send
Yes.
in really represents. It tells you, how many men you have in the workplace, how many women you have in the workplace with these companies. And these are
Hmm.
companies who are, Fortune 500 companies, any companies that are, have federal government contracts. So this is important data to have
Yeah.
for a ton of reasons. It'll tell you who's being represented in these companies, whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, male, female. It's kind of great information to have. So
Hmm.
I think this is kind of a throwback to, as the article that I read on it, it's a throwback to before the civil rights movement.
Hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we can't find this data,
Yeah.
but it's going to make it a lot harder to find that and make it easier to hide, who's getting represented in
Yeah.
in this data, where it shows that white males who are a third of the working population,
Hmm.
they're 57% of the executive levels and management roles. That's kind of important information to have,
It really
because
is.
you have black females or females in general who are make up a majority of the workforce,
Hmm.
barely have any representation in leadership roles and management roles.
Which
So
just in our experience, I think living in Atlanta, I think it's the lack of representation of Black women in general is a fundamental problem. If it's a problem in Atlanta, it's worse everywhere else.
it really, speaking of, just think of places like, I don't know, you know, excluding Atlanta and DC. Think about like New York or
Yep.
Chicago or places like Dallas.
Literally anywhere in Florida.
anywhere in Florida.
Literally anywhere.
And this is their more of their war on woke or DEI. I mean,
Right.
let's see, the chair of that commission, Andrea Lucas, who spent the year urging white men to file discrimination claims and
Yeah.
sending DEI compliance letters to Fortune 500 companies, argues that the reports promote racial stereotyping and cost employers hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet the sole Democrat that was left on the commission, Kalpana Kotagal, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, called it a return, to, and rightfully so, a period before
Of course.
So this is one of those things where they're doing these things in the dead of night.
Yep.
Hoping nobody will notice. They're slowly eroding away, what democracy should look like. And and it begins there when companies don't have to report, who works for them and
exactly
workforce. Then we're going to go back to a time where, that's what they've been doing with this. We're going to go back to a time of pre-1950, I think, the 1950s, where Black women in general, Black men, we're going to have less representation in the workforce. Yep. And we know that diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that's helped a lot of these Fortune 500 companies over the years and make more money. And the assertion that it takes millions of dollars to do these reports, which were required once a year. I mean, if you're a company of 100 people, how hard is it to get one member of your staff to do a roll? You don't have to do a roll call with spreadsheets and everything. All of these questions that you ask on, for your HR stuff. It's right there. It's right there. It's not that hard to collect that data.
Yeah. So I've got two different ways that I approach this topic. But first, again, the thing that set me off the edge, it only took week one, right, for me to lose my shit, was when they blamed that plane crash that happened like the first or second week of Trump's presidency on DEI. And I remember pacing around my kitchen, feeling like a level of rage that has not calmed. Like I still have acid reflux from it. I'm like, because that's such a dangerous lie. Like,
it is.
It's such a dangerous lie for so many reasons, and not just because of people's safety, but because of how far it sets us back too. Like it's doubly dangerous. So I approach this sort of DEI issue from two different avenues. So the first one is that the people who are behind the Trump administration, and in my view, I believe it's factual, but I believe that these initiatives come from them. So it's people like Peter Thiel, people like Curtis Yarvin, who Peter Thiel refers to as the prophet, right? That's the guy who wrote the right-wing blogs that all the staffers on Capitol Hill were reading.
Into the Heritage Foundation, Opus Dei.
Absolutely, yes.
World,
That's their philosophy, right? So these folks, the reason why Trump was able to get the amount of money that he was able to get to push his propaganda in order to get elected was because that group, right, which involves the tech bros, right, which overlaps with the military industrial complex. And then you add on the plutocrats, which are people who are rich, who believe that they're rich because they're entitled to be. And then the Christian nationalists. All of these groups that banded together in order to, which also actually the Christian nationalists also overlap with the military industrial complex too. The thing that these people all have in common is that they all believe in a hierarchy to society where regular people like you and me are at the bottom. That God hath chosen them to be in the position that they're in, much in the way that like the Hindu caste system worked. And therefore, right, they are more entitled to the benefits of money, of being the ones who decide how to govern us, right? And they shouldn't have to care about people who don't matter very much. They don't care about regulations or people, they need their clean water or whatever. It's like, I don't care. I can just get what I need. Otherwise, why should I have to care about somebody who doesn't matter? And so that's a big reason why they got into politics. But it makes sense. It makes sense that one of the first initiatives that they start with when they get into the White House is DEI, because to them it messes up the hierarchy. To them, it says, you've got people who we have decided, which it's again not just decision, it's fact, who have come from a place where they weren't able to gain the amount of generational wealth that another race has. And I actually really love the way that Joy Reid's explained it. And if you want to watch a kick-ass debate on DEI, watch Mark Cuban versus Vivek Ramaswamy. I could steal every point from him and have a perfect debate. But the deal that Joy Reid explains is, imagine how many times a white dude has had a golf game with another one and said, hey, can you get my son an internship for the summer? And you've heard so many times, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And there's an entire race of people, multiple races of people who've never had access to that. And so, and like Jews, it's funny because there are some Jews that are on the right that are pretending like this isn't new, but it is new for us, because I remember my dad dropping me off at country clubs when I was a kid to go to birthday parties saying, remember, your grandparents were not allowed here, just so you know that, right? So it's within the more recent generations. And so if it's not what you know, it's who you know, and there's entire groups of people who didn't have access to that, then DEI is just recognizing that we need to, I don't even like the phrase level the playing field, but just make it accessible. Just make it accessible. That's the way I approach it with that.
And leveling the playing field, to think about how much it would, and this is why, when people talk about reparations, it's not an argument that should be dismissed out of hand.
No.
When we're talking about leveling the playing fields, because if you look at the system, go all the way back to emancipation. Actually, go back to Juneteenth, because that's when everything was everything. The last slaves knew that they were freed. And then you look at Reconstruction, all of the promises that were made there, and they were doing it for a little while. For a couple of years, they were doing it.
It was crazy. I learned in the last few years how much Georgia was involved in that, where there was more Black representation in Congress and in local politics,
South Carolina,
during Reconstruction than there was like in all the years before 1980 or something, or 1990 or something. I can't remember, but it was one of those 2 decades.
No, it's probably about since 1980.
Yeah.
And
which is
so
insane.
You look at what Reconstruction was doing. They were going out there, they were doing the work, and it was pissing people in the South off, because it was like, okay, we've got to get back to a place where if we can't have slavery, we've got to be able to hold these people as close to that condition as possible. They're starting to get some real power in Congress now, and these commissions where they're going out, stopping us from lynching people and killing people and putting them in jail for no reason. It's it's a bit much. So then the system started to adapt to that. That was that compromise that was made. Kind of leave the South alone. You can't go back to slavery, but you can do something close. So then you had retrenchment there, after the funding stopped and dried up for Reconstruction, once a new administration came in, and they said, okay, go back to doing whatever you want to. We're going to kind of turn the blind eye to that. And then,
what's retrenchment?
Retrenchment is going backwards. That pendulum swinging backwards. You go from slavery to emancipation. Everybody's free. The pendulum swings this way. Retrenchment is coming back towards slavery. Jim Crow laws coming onto the book. The system doing what the system was designed to do, which was, keep Black people down, or those formerly enslaved down at a low level, and establish, white power. That's how you got the sharecropping deals and things like that, and creating debt for those people while other people created wealth. After World War II, Black veterans couldn't get, after serving, they couldn't get money to buy homes and go to school, things like that. And, so white people are creating wealth. White veterans are creating wealth, generational wealth, by having a home and a farm, while Black veterans, who are also farmers, couldn't. They didn't have anything to pass on, and so the system.
That makes a lot of sense. And like, living in Georgia, and I know I've talked about this before, working on races in Stone Mountain, I got to learn a lot about the history there. And
Confederacy and all of that stuff. And
the thing that
sweetheart deals.
The thing that blew my mind was when the government came in and said, which is way too late in the game, right? And said, you white bankers have to start giving loans to Black people who want to buy homes and land here, and they wouldn't do it. What happened was the Klan decided, like the actual Klan, not the Proud Boys, not whatever, blah, blah, blah. The actual Klan said, oh, well, my family's owned this land for generations, and so you can just come to me. I'll give you the money for the land, and you can just move here. So it's the same indentured servitude that's always existed. And if people think that that isn't an example of what's still going, or that's not representative of what's still going on today, it absolutely is. And it's the reason why there's all this resurgence of like the Proud Boys and everything, because those folks went underground to still be able to manage things behind the scenes. So when people look at us like we're crazy when we're talking about this, and then I can tell you, like, nope, they're still there. They're still in Stone Mountain, and they still own the land.
By another name.
Yep.
They didn't go away. They just took off the white robes and the hoods.
Exactly. And you can tell because they all have the same talking points. Because the thing that they say now is, I don't think that white people are better than other people. I just think that we shouldn't mix, right? I just think that we have our own. You do your thing and we do our thing. And when I heard more than one group say that, besides the Klan, because I read the document where David Duke came up with that idea, because I took a deep dive at Stone Mountain. When I read that, and then I heard two modern groups say that, I went, that's what they did.
Yeah, it's the same talking points. I mean,
yep.
Same with the Heritage Foundation. They just created, it's racism. It's designed to keep certain people down, women and people of color down. That's the retrenchment back and forth. Every time we take a step forward, it's a step back, or two steps forward, one step back. And Black people, we've seen this over and over and over again. We talk about it. All these policies are still affecting us today. Yep. And this is just another step. This EEOC commission taking out, the diversity reporting rules, just another step towards getting us back to that.
Yeah.
As close to that condition as possible. So you don't report this, out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
We attack DEI, we attack woke. We'll get back to a place where, we can, dominate once again, or be, like you say, the ruling class or whatever. I think that's part of what people are looking at, but they don't understand how dangerous. Well, I think they do understand. There are people who are done with this American experiment. Yeah. I think they're done. I think they want a strong man dictator.
The feudalist system that you can use as an example, the Klan with Black folks in the South, it has extended to all of America now, because rich people own everything and we pay them to live there, right? Nobody owns their house. It's a system that they learned from evil people and continued it everywhere. And they somehow, the evil people at the top somehow propagandized other white people into thinking that this was the best system for them. And that's the part where I go, like, why are you choosing that side? Like, where did your soul go? Why are you choosing that side? That's the piece that like makes me fired up, because it makes me angry at a soul level.
Yeah. If you just look at, and I'll talk about Senator Warnock here in a second, but if if
we
you
love.
look at these corporations who buy up all of the houses and then jack up all of the rents, which Senator Warnock's bill goes a long way to correcting that a little bit. But these
So fitting that he
companies still can buy 300 or 350 homes, jack the rent up, and if they buy anything more, they're going to pay triple the value. Okay, they can probably afford that now. For
Right.
$1 million fine, they can probably afford that now. But it's, a good first step, a good bill. But I think we need to do more.
Of course.
Because all of these laws, if you look at like redlining and how long that affected generational wealth in the Black community,
Yep.
It's going to take a long time to come back from that. I mean, that's why the wealth gap is so large today. And it's, between the average Black family and the average white family, and then from the average American family to the billionaire, millionaire class. The wealth gap is so large, and it's because of this. A lot of these policies and laws that are baked into the system that hurt working class people, if you want to just say that.
Yeah. And with the DEI initiative specifically, when it comes to groups like the EEOC, so Jon Stewart just did a really great piece on this. It only took he only had a line about it, but it was super powerful, where he said, a lot of the initiatives that Doge canceled, right? Because Doge was a farce. It was just a way to get our data. That was it. That was the entire thing. They
didn't address any fraud, waste, and abuse whatsoever.
No, they cut all fraud. The people who worked on it have testified under oath now that they cut $0 and it actually cost the government money. But
before you go on, I just want to say this, and that pissed the Doge thing pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
Because as a former government official, compliance official, it was my job to address fraud, waste, and abuse. The people who worked for the agency that was our job. We had an entire agency already dedicated to that. That's what people didn't know. The Defense Contract Management Agency, the agency I used to work for, that was our job. You didn't need a Doge. We were already doing it. We were already saving taxpayers billions of dollars a year.
I'm sure that you were.
Billions.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. We would put money actually back into the Treasury. I've done it personally.
I'm sure you have.
The whole Doge thing, that really pissed me off. I'm like, what?
Yeah, these assholes come in here and pretend like they're doing the America
in and of itself.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of the scholarship work and a lot of the funding of specific initiatives that got funded under DEI were only funded that way because it was the name. Right. So like it could have gotten labeled as something else, and then it would have been legitimate. Like, for example, studying in Georgia in particular, our maternal mortality rate is the highest in the country for Black women. Like the fact is that Black women in the maternity ward are not listened to. Women of color are not listened to in maternity ward. And so having an initiative where
my end or yours.
Oh, sorry. I'll start over. So there were initiatives that were funding things like studying why the maternal mortality rate for Black women in Georgia is the highest in the country. And it's the highest maternal mortality rate for women of color in general as well. And so that didn't have to be a DEI initiative, right? It could have gotten filed under healthcare, or it could have got whatever. It could have gotten filed under something else, but it got canceled, period. So regardless, like from a corporate perspective, right, just as somebody who has worked on these cases, the insurance companies are the ones that are saying, we don't want to have to pay out when we kill somebody, right? We don't want to have to pay out when a child is born because we didn't listen to the mother and the child has cerebral palsy or something like that. And it's the fault of the hospital because they didn't have enough staff. They didn't pay attention to her and any of that stuff. The point is, though, you still needed that study in order to figure out why things were getting effed up. It was good for corporate and it was good for people. And that very rarely happens. And so the DEI stuff that gets canceled, it's like with the EEOC, right? There are initiatives that were filed under diversity, equity, inclusion that could have been filed anywhere. And so now we're just not looking at it because it was a way for Trump to be able to say, look, regular ass white people, I have done something for you, in the same way that Hitler did with non-Jewish people in Germany, where he was like, look, see, all of these Jews are taking your spots, right? They're taking your spots, and they don't deserve that. What do they deserve that for? And then, you know, some people could say, oh, well, you know, they're just saying that they're trying to elevate us to the same level. No, it was always that he said that the Jews were vermin. It was always that people were particularly Curtis Yarvin was saying that like Black people are violent, right? There's always a deep, deep racism that's associated with it. Absolutely. That the other side just pretends like doesn't exist.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to look at a policy and know for a fact whether or not it's a racist policy or designed for, you know, specific people, whether it's rich people or white people in general, just look at who it hurts. Look at who the policy hurts. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Again, Black people have seen this time and time again with these policies that come out. Who gets hurt the most by it? And it seems to be the same groups over and over and over again, whether it's people of color, whether it's women. It's who gets hurt and who benefits from it.
Right. Because that's
benefits the most. Who's going to feel the pain the most?
Cui bono.
Ever see that pain coming from the top, getting felt at the top? It never seems to be felt at the top or absorbed at the top. It's always at the bottom, the economic bottom, or it's people of color once again.
Always
that gets hurt the most. And out of this administration, you know, with this, if you just go and look at Project 2025, and that's what this conversation is about. They're slowly implementing them. Not even slowly. I mean, they've done this at a record pace. We're not even in year 2 or finished with year 2 of this term of this presidency, and they've probably implemented. I saw somewhere. I think they've implemented at least 70%.
Yeah. I heard over 60.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous, but these are.
Do you guys still have me?
This is what's going on. There's things that are there to help certain groups, and you know, they're succeeding, and you're not seeing a lot of this talk in the mainstream media about it.
You're not because here's the thing. And actually I'll hold off on talking about this because I think we can come to it when we talk about ICE, because I think there's a lot to talk about there too.
Let's go ahead and hit some cultural topics today.
Let's do it.
I think the big thing is the Iliad and the Odyssey, the movie, the Odyssey, Chris Nolan's Odyssey, that's pulled in after its first weekend so far, $124 million.
That is kick ass.
Out theaters at midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. That's crazy. Yeah.
So it's so funny that we're talking about this because actually, so John Leguizamo, who plays Eumaeus, who's like the blind.
I love John, by the way.
He's awesome. He's such an awesome advocate. He had reposted
really come on the last few years with his advocacy, and I'm good on you, John. We're behind you 100%.
So he messaged me this morning because he had reposted some of my content, and he was like, I want to try to get access to more people who are doing good work, to try to expose what's going on or to help and like highlight or feature them. And so I think I'm going to try to put him in touch with some of the folks at the Barton Center who do the work to represent kids that are in immigration proceedings because they're not entitled to representation. And so it's literally like an 8-year-old standing there by themselves. And so that's the closest thing that I know of. But if other people want to like send a comment or a suggestion or whatever, please do, because it was totally random that he reached out to ask about.
Tell him where to go.
Yeah. So if you guys have any ideas of like a creator or somebody who you know is quietly doing amazing work, the benefit of highlighting them is that it really does inspire other people. Like, and I think that's why he wants to do this right now, is because he's probably in a very inspired place himself, and he's an advocate. So he's probably going, how do we get other people involved? Maybe by showing them, like, and I was like, maybe we can highlight the person's why, like why they decided to do this, because that's usually the little piece that, you know, gets into your heart that makes you want to keep going.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm probably going to go see the movie maybe this weekend if I have a minute or two to get out and do a little decompressing. I mean, I like IMAX, seeing things in IMAX anyway, but you know, the CEO Rich Gelfand called it a frenzy. What's going on?
It's awesome.
Let's go check all of those actors and actors. I don't know if I got lost just then. Did you guys lose me? Was I frozen?
I think you got frozen for just a sec.
All right, go see the Odyssey, people. I'm gonna go see
it. I'm gonna see it too.
Yeah, again, I like IMAX, so I'm gonna go see it in the theater. You know, not wait for it to come out on Amazon or whatever, or Disney. So.
Same.
Keeping it on cultural topics, let's talk about Spain's extra time win over Argentina. Congratulations, Spain, on winning the World Cup. I don't know if we have the clip or not, but Donald Trump
so
ruins
horrible.
Everything. I mean, ruins everything.
Horrible. It was so embarrassing to just in the moment just to watch. Like, it was painful.
Just lingering up on stage.
What the hell are you doing, man?
Milling around, you know, showing his sundowners in full display, milling around in front of guys who are ready to hoist the World Cup and celebrate their victory.
The stage.
Yeah, get the hell off the stage, man.
It's not your moment. You didn't kick the ball, did you?
Well, I mean, the fact that he was getting booed and it was audible on television.
I love it.
It was just, and this is in our country, man. I mean, come on.
I know.
You know, and I'm sure I was a very international audience.
Yes.
But still,
crazy.
It's here. Look at this. Yeah. And they're trying to pull him off the stage the whole time. The video. It's like, oh, come on, dude. Just this way.
So funny.
Mr. President, let's get out of here. It's time to go put you.
Which was your team? Which was your team for the World Cup?
So I was my team. Well, you know, the USA, of course.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
But after that,
I like Spain. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I heard that they were just objectively the best team. Like, everybody knew it. They were more polished, but everybody wants the scrappier team to win, you know, that's just fighting really hard, which is why I wanted Mexico to win, because Mexico they were fighting so hard in that last game against England. And oh my God, like I fell in love, because that's one of the reasons I like
England did everything they could to hang on in that
right.
match.
It was insane. That's one of the reasons I like college football more than NFL, because you can feel I gotta do this. Like, you can feel the whole heart in the game. So I really enjoyed watching the World Cup. I also loved the Shakira song. I would listen to it while I walked my dogs.
Yeah,
I love that song. I think it's very like international and cool, and also Muppets.
Well, I like Shakira in any way. So
did you know she's 49?
I didn't think she was quite close to my age, but I mean, I knew she was over 40.
She looks 29. I don't know what, I mean, maybe it's the dancing, because neither she nor J-Lo has aged. So my theory is that it's the dancing.
And Shakira's been around for a long time. I mean,
yeah.
Whatever song, that was early 2000s. So, you know, she's been around for a while. But as far as World Cup and my teams go, of course, it's going to be USA. But having lived in Germany for so long, Germany would be my next team, but they got booted out of there early, which was kind of shocking. But then Spain would be, as far as, you know, as it went on, I'm like, Spain's got this. So
yeah, it was great, man. I really enjoyed it.
Pulling for them. So
It
In
made
the
me feel
end, I wasn't pulling for them in the beginning.
yeah,
Make
of
that
course.
clear, everybody. No,
Okay, over
I was
here.
pulling for us.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Just getting back to that, the Donald Trump thing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, having spent so much time overseas and remembering how, my first mid 90s, I left the country and moved overseas and was gone for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking back at that time, how cool we were as far as other people saw us,
Yeah.
other countries, I'm like, you're American. You guys are so cool. You got such a cool culture and this, that, and the other. And, they just want to sit and, you know, talk to you about the things that they watched on television, whether it was a Fresh
Yeah.
Prince of Bel-Air or Biggie and Tupac or whatever, they just talk
Right.
about American culture. And now to go from that, over the course of my lifetime or adult life,
Yeah.
to the president of the United States being booed repeatedly
Repeatedly.
on the world stage. He's making fools of us.
He really is. And it's funny because it's
It
not funny.
hurts.
He keeps saying like, other countries used to laugh at us. I was like, it's much worse now. It's much
No
worse.
one was laughing before.
No one was laughing.
No one
right?
was laughing before him.
I was talking to one of the guys who lives right here in Belize, and he's from here. And he was like, yeah, I've got family that lives in Chicago. And for our whole lives, like up until this past year, we thought the United States was just the place to be. Like the place to be. That's where we wanted to be no matter
Look
what.
at our tourism numbers. Look at our tourism numbers.
And they just know, and it makes me realize that this is the point all along, right? It was that we wanted people to stay away, which is so dumb if you are in business in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in academia, if you're in any of that, because you want the best and the brightest from the world to come here so that you can snatch them up and steal them from wherever else they were going to go. But
exactly.
I guess the racism has outweighed the desire for money. And at that point, we're going, whoa, we're really in trouble. Like when we've passed that point, now we're in some serious shit.
Yeah, when you hate a group of people more than you love progress and seeing the country become more prosperous, yeah, we got a problem.
That's yeah. So
we had a problem for a long time, but it's
indeed.
Anyway, and we can talk about that in depth or ad nauseum, but we'll kind of keep it on these topics right now.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how in 30 years we've gone from being the people of their country that every other country looks up to, and you got third world countries who aspire to be democracy. We go from the gold standard to crap standard now.
The crap standard, right? The one that people are fleeing from rather than fleeing towards.
Yeah, people are actively leaving. People don't want to come here and visit anymore. I mean, they talk about in Las Vegas how tourism dollars are so far down. Not just Vegas, New York,
everywhere.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's because of this president. He says people were laughing at us. That was his answer. Now they're not laughing at us. They were never laughing at us. And no, they're not laughing at us now because they're crying. They're like, this is sad. This is ridiculous. Sad.
Every person I've talked to who's from Canada is like, we're so sorry that you're going through this. In the same way that we understand that like the people who live in Iran are not all supportive of the IRGC, right? And we think it sucks that they have to live that way. They feel that for us too. Like they're not assigning us all the same belief system as the MAGA crew. Thank goodness.
They get it. They get it, but they see this for what it is.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough of that. Congratulations, Spain. We hate to put a downer on this, but you guys, a World Cup well fought for and well deserved.
Yes.
Let's get back to hard news.
Hard news.
Hard news. This Iran war.
Yep.
That's the on again, off again Iran war. Let's see. Trump has indicated that the U.S. will pretty soon renew strikes on Iran's heavily fortified Pickaxe Mountain nuclear site which is situated near the significantly damaged Natanz uranium enrichment facility.
Mm-hmm.
And, this morning he just said that he was going to destroy or threaten to destroy an Iranian bridge or power plant each time Iran attacks a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
The
thought this
narrative, yeah, the narrative is so lost
Yeah.
that look, so the simplest version of this, which is why Trump keeps repeating it over and over again, the simplest version of the narrative is Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, right? That's the bullshit. And I say the same thing about when
That's
I'm
not why they
fighting.
got into it, right?
Right. When I'm
That
fighting
wasn't
against
the
anybody
impetus for
in
going to
Ohio.
war.
Yes, it's just I always have to ask myself, or when I'm coaching somebody else, I'm like, what is there? And I call it the bullshit legitimate excuse. Like, what is the one that they're pretending like is legitimate, right? That's their bullshit legitimate excuse.
Right.
But the fact is that you can't keep touting accomplishments to people who are following along. So he has to bet on people not following along, and also being so loyal that they won't hold him to account. And that was the problem with Epstein, was because he is so used to being able to tell his followers what to say
What to
and what
think
to
and say, yeah.
and what to think and believe, that when they didn't, right? And I'm still trying to understand the psychological phenomenon of this. I think about it and study it every day.
Mhm.
I have for years. That was the line that got drawn. And I think it's because enough people actually got into the details of it. Because
Right.
when it comes to war, it's something people don't want to look at. When it came to Epstein, for whatever reason, everybody went, I can look at this. And I don't know if it's because they felt like they were sticking up for children or what. That maybe that was it. Maybe it was like a genuine interest in sticking up for children, or it was a genuine interest in
definitely wasn't
the elite
for
class.
the women, the survivors,
Right.
yeah, whose names they splashed all over the internet.
Right. But there's a big group of MAGA who left because of the Epstein files. And that group tends to be the one that's enmeshed with the one that doesn't want the Iran war.
Do you think it was more the MAGA guys, or more so the independents, some of those independents who
Yes.
really leaned right? Because I
Yes.
still feel like he's got about 37% of that Republican base, the MAGA loyalists that are still
I
there.
agree. But losing 63% is a lot. Like, losing 63% is a hell of a lot.
Yeah, no,
No, that costs you the election. Done.
It should. I mean, they should get a drubbing in the midterms.
Yeah.
But we'll see, and we'll talk more about that later. But
Yeah.
staying on the Iran war,
Mhm.
you got, and I'm just going to call them Secretary Hegseth and General Kane and everybody up on Capitol Hill yesterday,
Yep.
hat in hand, begging for more money.
Yep.
For what? A war that you said was over? They got a grilling yesterday.
I mean, speaking of Georgia, actually, John Ossoff did a kick-ass job. Remember last week when we were talking about how we should go about questioning people and just not letting them off the hook, and also not jumping in too early and let them squirm, right? Like,
Absolutely.
let them be accountable for what they're saying, because it's not about you, it's about them. Like, I think we actually have the clip, and I'm gonna grab my charger really fast while we play the clip.
Yeah, Keith, run that clip, please.
Yeah.
Day 14, nearly 5 months ago, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. That was on day 14 of the war. Was that an accurate statement?
They didn't have a Navy any longer. It was completely sunk. Their missiles were buried underneath a lot of their underground facilities, and their defense industrial base has been almost completely destroyed. So as far as a military assessment of Iran's capabilities, it didn't mean by any stretch of the imagination absolute zero, but their
Mr.
capabilities
Secretary,
at the lowest level
you
they've been in a
stated
very
that
long time.
on day 14 of this conflict, in the second week of the conflict, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Was that an accurate statement? Yes or no?
Iran's ability to challenge the United States of America at the level at which we're capable of.
That's not what I asked you, Mr. Secretary. You said on day 14 Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Yes or no, was that an accurate statement?
What the American military has
Will you
done
answer
to
the
the
question?
Iranian military is a historic military
Will you
defeat,
answer the
and they're
question under
ineffective
oath?
in that context.
Got to give it up for our Georgia senators, man. They
Woo!
are
Killing it.
really, they're cooking, man. They are.
Okay.
And I like that kind of line of questioning because he put it out there and held his feet to the fire.
I love it. So I coach expert witnesses on how to testify for depositions in trial, and like in general, not on what they're going to say. But one of the reasons why this questioning was so effective was because, first of all, the senator didn't jump in when he didn't say yes or no. He was like, it's a yes or no question. And he was like, blah, 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 and said a whole bunch of extra stuff. He waited, and then he repeated the question. Right. And so now it doesn't look like you're pushing. It looks like he doth protest too much, right? Because you're simply asking the question again. It looks like he's walking in circles and that you're making him do it. And then, so all you have to do at the end is, so then you're not going to answer the question. And then when he says, well, that's what this really was. And it was funny actually, because at a later point, maybe it was an earlier point, actually, what he said was, you said earlier that this was a historic military defeat. And it's funny because he repeated that himself, because that's his line that he keeps repeating. And
because he's playing to an audience of one.
Right. Yes. And I think this was such an effective way of putting himself above Hegseth, because he wasn't going for that I'm stronger than you. He wasn't trying for that. He was trying for accountability. And when you do that in a calm manner, and it's something that I also have to tell myself, because I'm often very emotional and I'm like, no, I'm just passionate. People will see it. And they're like, no, you're a woman. Actually, maybe you shouldn't, because people will assign you like a level of hysteria that might not be fair to you. Right. From a man, I might come off as passionate, but for you have to understand that there are stereotypes. Right. Well, in general, for Hegseth, right, he's obsessed with the manliness aspect of it, right? So watching Hegseth have to dance around while Ossoff sat there calmly was a masterclass.
No, it's good. I mean, it's good. And at the end of the day, accountability doesn't give a damn about your machismo or what kind of tough guy you think you are.
Yep.
You've got to come and answer questions at some point in time. And, that's Congress's job. That's, their Article 2 job is to, they control the purse.
Yeah.
They declare war.
Yeah.
So, Senator Ossoff handled that brilliantly.
I agree.
Now, flip side of that coin, you had Senator Shaheen, who asked him basically relatively the same question, and he goes off into his, rhetoric for Trump.
Yeah.
And she said, shut up. I don't want to hear your speech. If you're not going to answer the question, I'm going to move on. And then she asked the Secretary of Agriculture a question, or General King, one of the other guys a questions, but she just, shut him down. It's like, not listening to that crap, reclaiming my time. But she literally said, shut up. I don't want to listen to your speech, which I thought was also great. But that's just me. But again, at the end of the day, accountability doesn't care about how macho you are, the fact that you want to give testosterone to our troops. And, you're asking you've already spent $37 billion on a war that you claim was won in the first week. You keep going back and forth and and, coming up with little MOUs after the 60 days expires for you to declare this conflict a war, so that keep Congress from coming in and saying, Congress can only declare war. And no, it's over. They keep playing that game.
Yep.
No, it's on again. It's off again. People don't understand that. That's what's going on here. These different MOUs.
They're not trying to make it coherent at all.
Yeah. And when the clock's about to run out on their 60 days, they say, oh, no, it's over. We've won. It's done. No, it's not.
Just kidding.
We're fighting again. Another 60 days. No, really, it's over. It's over now, guys. Seriously. No, it's not. these guys are doing anything, the straits close. I mean, we've got to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities, or we have destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities, and then wait a couple of weeks. Oh, no, we're striking them again because they still have some nuclear capabilities. Come on,
Yeah.
If the goal of the war was to keep Iran from developing nuclear weapons, the JCPOA did that.
Yep.
It did
They
that.
had experts who took their time. Yeah. So I actually have a question for you, Marcus, because I was talking to my husband about this, and he wasn't in the military. He did environmental work for the FAA, and so he, when I said to him, I kind of feel like all of this is the fault of the military folks who wouldn't stand up to him and say, I'm not doing this shit. I know that this is bullshit nonsense, and I'm not doing this. Where it's people like General Kane, who are coming in there, and he's so smart. And like, he's in there and he's obviously defending something that he doesn't believe in. And my husband was like, well, there's a chain of command that you do have to follow. And it's something that he committed to. So it must be a very difficult position for him to be in. And so I wanted to keep in
mind, it's a civilian-led military for a reason.
Yeah. And he's always, I mean, that might not even be his position. He's always just trying to get me to see the other side of everything. And so I'm wondering for you, like, do you feel that way too, where it's like, why aren't you guys standing up to him? Like this, it's so obvious that what he's doing is wrong. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, you do have, when you're just looking at the Joint Chiefs, they have a specific job, but it's really, people who should really be pushing back, and you have had generals who are pushing back.
Yeah.
You see them get fired all the time.
That's true.
They're gone. I mean, that's their career. It's over. It's the civilian leadership that should be doing the pushing back.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
This SecDef, he should be doing the pushing back, but we know he's a sycophant. Trump's chief of staff should be telling him, well, this is not something you want to do. I mean, I'm sure those generals, the Joint Chiefs, and their staffs, they laid out all the scenarios.
I'm sure they did, because they're very smart and qualified people.
They laid it all out. And they knew that they had a Secretary of Defense who was woefully unqualified for the position, who was only there to do whatever this president wants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's why you no longer have guys like CQ Brown. They're gone. They've gotten rid of all the guys who are going to push back at the top. We've gotten rid of most of them. Not to say that there are no good, strong generals left, brass, still in the military, still at the Pentagon. Because I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But they're, they answer to superiors.
That's
some of them.
That makes me angry, because I also don't know what it's like to be in that position. I just can't imagine somebody who's as smart as General Kane standing there and saying that nonsense. It just, I don't know. I was wondering how you felt about it, because
let's see. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't want to put blame somewhere where it didn't deserve to be also,
And I don't know. Well, I do know. I mean, if I was a 3 or 4 star general, and I'm not going to do anything that goes completely against. Again, we talk about having to sleep at night.
Yeah. That I know about.
Completely goes against my lodestar, my North Star, and just say, okay, I'm going to do this just because. I mean,
and I know that about the surveys
like it's right.
As well.
Yeah, I'm going to voice my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be one of those guys and say, well, here's where I retire.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry, actually.
And I'm sure there are a lot of them who have done that.
Yeah.
Well, I probably would have been one of the guys.
Yeah.
Say I were one of those generals, they would have got rid of me first.
Yeah. I hear you, and I
genuinely appreciate that about you. But I mean, I've seen over the last year or so a lot of the good sergeant majors who've retired and left, senior NCOs,
Yeah.
That were great. They're gone. A lot of them are leaving. A lot of the officers who have left because this military it's not, this administration anyway, not the military. The administration is dangerous. I mean, and they're not doing the job that the American military is supposed to be doing. We don't go and start wars as a vanity project for a president who's a narcissist and thinks he knows it better than everybody else, which he doesn't. He's an idiot. And
he's a total idiot. And just to be 100% clear, I know that I haven't been a student of this for 10, 20 years, but from everything that I have studied and learned and every bit of experience that I've gained, I 100% believe that the reason why we're in Iran right now is because they want to turn it into a Trump casino, because they want to rebuild it. And the board of peace, right, that he's created is the board of war profiteers. It's the same thing that Epstein was facilitating behind the scenes, right? Besides being, a sex trafficker, he was facilitating deals that couldn't happen on the open market by setting people up like arms dealers with guerrilla warfare people or different governments or whatever that couldn't do it on the open market. Well, a part of war profiteering is rebuilding afterwards. And Jared Kushner is proposing how to rebuild Gaza at Davos, right? Under the guise of the Board of Peace. And the bank that's supposed to hold the money for that rebuild is the World Bank guy who sits on the Board of Peace, right? So, and the people
that whole Board of Peace thing is a grift anyway. Let's state that up front. That's all that is.
Right. The reason why we're in
Iran to get taxpayer dollars.
Yep.
Billions
the reason we're in Iran, the reason we have spent so much time funding the Israeli military, all of this, right? It has nothing to do with peace. It has nothing to do with ideology. What it has to do with is making money off of the rebuild.
For him to cash in personally. Let's be clear about that.
This is the military industrial complex, and that's who's funding all of this, right? Peter Thiel is the military industrial complex surveillance.
But for Trump, yeah, you got the Thiel and the money men behind that.
Yeah.
But for Trump, for him personally, it's about him cashing in personally.
That's going to be a Trump Tower place.
Easy. Yeah. It's him cashing in personally. But yes, I agree with you. The Gaza thing, that's disgusting. The fact
disgusting. And it's the truth. Like, that's exactly what happened.
We saw those little videos of their ideas of, turning it into like the next Monaco or something like that.
Right.
Right.
And if you look at the MOU from, the most recent bullshit deal they had, it's so clear that all they're doing is setting up to have the rebuild. That's all that was there, because what it says is, because for the Gaza rebuild, it's the money's coming from the sovereign wealth funds from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, and we just started a sovereign wealth fund. But the point is that that's a grift, right? And that's because Salman, what's his name, Mohammed bin Salman, who's like BFFs with Jared Kushner, who's been soliciting money since like the day that he knew that Trump was going back into office. That's where the money's coming from. And the language that's used in the MOU allows specifically for determining like neighboring regional partners to partner with the United States and the Board of Peace or whatever. Like it might have been the Board of Peace in particular, but it was the United States and regional partners using sovereign wealth funds to rebuild this area, and we'll let you know which contractors we're using at the time, right? And so it's like, what were the wins in that contract? It was for the Trump family. That's who the wins went to.
No, it's for him and his family to cash in personally.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they're going to price anybody that lives there now out of there. So what's going to happen with all these refugees that this conflict has created and will continue to create?
They give zero S.
Yeah, we'll see, unless we can do something about it, but unless we can claw back that money that they put in this bullshit peace initiative. Yeah, see it happening.
I'm working on an article right now that is outlining, it's like war, what is it good for? Ask the Board of Peace. It's outlining each person who's like one of the founding members of the Board of Peace and how they're all war profiteers, every single one of them. And they serve a function, whether they actually were associated with Epstein or not, because some of them were. They serve the same functions as the people who associated with Epstein in the past. This is round 2.
Yeah.
Scary and true.
It is. Man, so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got time to hit one more topic before I have to get out of here. Let's talk about, let's see, in New Jersey, a voter roll era has quickly become a national talking point. Governor Mikey Sherrill disclosed that a DMV software glitch mistakenly registered about 6,600 non-citizens to vote between 2023 and 2024 before she took office, and that fewer than 400 of them actually cast a ballot out of an electorate of millions.
And it doesn't mean those votes
either. Yeah.
Right, doesn't mean votes are counted because they have to go through the system again. So if that person's name shows up as somebody who should not have been registered, then the vote never gets counted. That's what happened in Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. Where they were like, oh, there are people on the voter rolls who shouldn't be there. Guess what? There were 9 people who actually voted from the group of folks who shouldn't have voted, and none of them were counted, not a single one, because they got flagged.
That's what we're doing when we go back and we certify those elections.
Yeah,
you go back and you do those counts and you do audits, and audits catch all of this stuff.
Yeah. What did you think?
A little late. Trump and his team are using this as a, one of their things to say, "Oh, yeah, we got you." The election was stolen from us.
I was just going to ask you about the president's speech. What did you think about it? What did you think of people not, the network not showing it? I just published the article.
Oh no, I loved that. The fact that a lot of the major networks didn't show it, and it kind of pissed him off. But we knew what it was going to be. We knew it was going to be a bunch of bullshit first and foremost. It was going to be a bunch of lies, and him going back. Senator Ossoff called it once again. We keep talking about Senator Ossoff, but he called it. It was just going to be, even though he didn't mention Georgia by name specifically and tried to blame everything on China and other foreign state actors, the outcome's still the same. I mean, he's
totally
sour. It's just a bunch of sour grapes, and they're trying to set up or tee up them coming in and trying to affect the midterms. That's what they're doing. Yeah. That's all they're doing. That's all this is.
Absolutely. So the article that I just published today was about not CNN actually, because CNN's decision to do this is actually separate from the network news. So quickly, just plugging the article, by network news, actually the vast majority of Americans that are getting their news from TV are getting it from ABC, NBC, or CBS. They are not getting it from cable news. And
the numbers steadily declining across the board.
Yeah. But like CNN and MS Now cannot hold a candle. And Fox News is still like number 3 or 4 in there. It's still not as much as NBC or ABC. And so Trump, even though he still won the election, right, is well aware that they are perpetuating a narrative that he doesn't like, because they're going to try to tell you the truth, right? And the truth is not something that he accepts. And so Brendan Carr is out there as the head of the FCC saying, you know, if you aren't operating in the public interest, then we're going to revoke your licenses, because they can't revoke the licenses of private companies, but they can of public airwaves. And guess who gets to decide what's in the public interest and what isn't? And so that bullshit stat that they keep going around saying, you know, like, oh, well, the coverage was 97% negative or whatever. That's, as you said, sour grapes, right? The evidence on that is very thin.
Yeah.
However, with the
When has
decision,
that ever stopped a good lie from this administration?
right. With this decision to not air the president's speech, I think this is the first win for Brendan Carr to actually, even though he had that bullshit study, you haven't seen them take any action. I think this is the first thing where he can actually say, now you're not acting in the public interest because you are not giving access to the American public to the speech. And I fully understand the impetus and the desire not to show it, because I don't want lies to be perpetuated. But the fact is that we are handing Brendan Carr a win by not showing it, because now he's got something to take to court to argue, you know. So
but it's not unprecedented, but yes, they will definitely try and use this as here's our reason. They're not showing us what, but there's nothing that says you have to show.
No.
We'll see. We'll see. You're right. They're definitely going to go to court and try and use that as, you know, one of their justifications. We'll see what judges do with it. I mean, we've seen a few Trump appointed judges
have some common sense.
Or implement common sense rulings.
Yeah. Oh, really fast before we leave. So I can't remember the guy's name. I had this debate on Friday with this guy who won the Bradley Prize. He's supposed to be some hotshot dude who's a Republican. Anyways, I was talking to him and we were debating birthright citizenship. And I was like, I'm so happy that at least enough Supreme Court justices had the courage to say the truth, right? Because that's how our 14th Amendment is structured. And I get the Reagan quote, and he was like, so I have a question for you, Madeline. You know, if it's about a creed, you know, just believing in the American creed, would somebody who's born in Zimbabwe who believes in the American dream be an American citizen? And I was like, no, because they have to be within the borders of the United States. That's jurisdictional. It's the point that when you're here, you're subject to our laws. That's why you can go to jail for breaking one of them. So he was like, okay, well, what if somebody is born here in the United States who doesn't believe in the American creed? I was like, again, they're still a citizen because they're still born within the I was like, what are you missing
jurisdiction
here
thereof?
Right. I was like, what do you, and I was like, the founders structured it that way. And they separated out persons versus citizens in other clauses. So, you know, for sure that that's what they meant there. And he was like, well, see, she doesn't even, and I was like, it's so funny. He pretended like I answered the way that he wanted me to versus what I actually said. I was like, those were not difficult questions. Like the whole point is that it's jurisdictional. So people on the right that are arguing this are not arguing in good faith. Like he could have studied that and known that and fought back with me, but didn't, because, you know,
they could have just read the Constitution. That would have cleared it up.
Heaven forbid. Right.
Heaven forbid. You know.
Yeah.
I keep one right here that I always read. Right here on my desk, and I'm always reading it. So there's
That's
that.
Awesome. I love that.
All right. Well, folks, that's all we got for today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe to With All Due Respect. Go to Maddie's Hot Takes, like and subscribe. Everything she's putting out on there. And, you know, we appreciate you for all of our paid subscribers and our subscribers alike. You know, that's this work that we do, you know, takes a lot out of us, and, you know, it ain't free. So, you know, if you like what you're seeing, you know, hop on and, you know, subscribe to what we're doing here. And we appreciate all of you who have done that. So
we're going to start having some special content and special rewards for our paid subscribers as well. We're about to kick them into high gear. So you definitely want to get in on the ground floor.
Absolutely. We're about to do a few more things, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So stay tuned for that.
Yep.
And with that, I think that's all we got time for today. Maddie, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you.
All of you out there,
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, and Godspeed.